Hey guys, welcome back to another installment of HairTube. I'm here at the Joey Scandizo Academy in Melbourne and with the beautiful Maylin.
Hi.
Thanks for coming hanging out with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. We're going to give you a beautiful haircut today. We had a chat off camera about what we would like to do, and I think that we're going to give her, only because you guys have requested it so much, I'm going to execute my signature long laid editorial cut on Maylin, so you guys will get to see that. You know, it's all about opening up the face in front of the cheekbones, really soft modern layers that come from the top, not underneath, and then we'll keep the end sharp and just a little bit of movement and shape in the back. You can pretty much do anything, but I think with the hair and the bone structure and the neck length, I think Maylin's the perfect person to do this haircut on. So if you're excited, yeah, I think we should get started and do a shampoo, and then we'll come right back. Back from the basin, we prepared the hair today using the Total Results High Amplify shampoo, give the scalp a really good cleanse, and we used the moisture conditioner just because the hair it doesn't feel dry, but it's quite thick and we want it to be supple. So we're actually going to cut the hair wet-ish today, but it's a little bit too wet. So I'm going to just take some of the moisture out. That gets some of the moisture out of there. For me, I like to cut the hair, when I cut hair wet, I often do cut hair dry, but when I cut hair wet, I like it at that point where it goes from wet to dry. You know, that turning point where you start to see the hairs lightening in front of your eyes because it's starting to have the moisture or the water removed from it. So it is still damp, but it's not completely saturated. Starting on the front, we're going to work with natural parting as always. You part your hair here, yeah?
Mostly, yeah.
Yep, mostly. Do you like to move it around a little bit?
Sometimes, yeah.
And where do you like to wear it?
Either there or like right in the center.
Okay.
But I don't mind either.
It's good to know because we need to bring it back towards the center if that's the case.
Yeah.
When we shape this. And then we'll make a little alteration in the front so when you wear it to the side, it sits right. Okay, let's start the front. We're going to start in the front, vertical section, and we just want enough hair in this first section to be able to create a strong guide. So this is how much I'm going to work with. See that? You just always look towards me, it'll be awesome. Start with a rectangle, and we just want to have enough hair in this section so that we can start the shaping or the framing process. And again, I've spoken about it a lot lately, we want to use projection. So now that you've seen that, I'm going to spin you around so you can see the projection I use. Just chin up just a little bit. we're going to project it up above 90 so that we don't have to use as much texture in the end. We're going to go straight back towards the face. Make sure we over direct it to retain length. We'll do it just a little bit shorter. Chin up again, gorgeous, thank you. Spin Maylin around so you guys can see from now the inside of the section. It'll help you with being able to see the angle that I'm getting. Just tuck this behind the ear, that'll make it a bit easier. And you'll be able to see, actually you probably want to look over my shoulder, be able to see here how much I'm over directing it. So I'm actually really over directing it a lot. You can see I'm almost cutting straight back towards here. I'm not cutting across my shoulder, I'm actually cutting over my shoulder. So almost cutting a straight line in front, yeah? So we're cutting back this way. And make sure we over direct to retain all this length. Chin up again, thank you. Too far. Sorry, I'm fussy. Go back this side. Picking up all the hair. This has to come up to here where we cut our first section. Very important. And again, over directing, and we can see here the ends need to join here, so we're just taking out that hair there. And that's how you know you're on the right cutting line, because you don't want to cut into the baseline, because we are literally just going to give this the tiniest little trim. I explained to Maylin off camera that these particular haircuts work best when the hair is long, so she's happy with the length, we just need to trim the ends. Okay, let's do the other side. We're going to use the hair on this side as a guide. Again, working in a rectangle shape because I find it easy to control the distribution of hair. So when I say a rectangle, what I mean is I'm working in rectangular panels all the time. Again, we're lifting up well above 90 degrees, just below probably 135 degrees. I'm turning my shoulders and I'm almost cutting a straight line again. Back towards the head. Turning my shoulders again. This has to come up to the same plane. You can't drop your fingers and do it like this. You can see why if I cut that there, that's just going to cut all the length off. It's going to come back over the shoulder. We want to make sure that this is all cut on the same plane. So you have to project it up to the original section and cut it there. Spin around, you can see that. See the shape we've created. So the shape that we want to create is a shape that comes like this into the face, not a shape that goes away from the face. So if we don't over direct it enough, you're going to cut it off the shoulder and you're going to cut these corners out. So we start short, and effectively what you're doing is you're creating a concave underneath the chin, and we do that by elevating it this way, and we're cutting on a plane that comes out like this, so it's a V. So the narrower the V you can get in the middle, and you can bring this up to here, the narrower it is, the more you can over direct and retain the length. So eventually, if the hair was that long, you'd actually be cutting in a complete straight line straight back towards the nose. in a V shape. So that's why when it comes down here, you end up with short to long. Once you've got your guideline correct, you can continue to go through and work all the way from the back to the front until no hair comes within this guideline again. We've shaped around the front. The reason why I start there when I do this haircut is because for me this is the focal point, and generally with all haircuts I start where the hair's going to be the shortest. So that's done. We're just going to whip Maylin around, and I'm literally going to take a centimetre off the ends of the hair. This is not rocket science, but I'll show you guys how I do it anyway. Chin down for me, gorgeous. Thank you. When I'm only taking, or what I would call an edit, when I'm only editing the ends or making a minimal adjustment, I take efficient sections. Literally just want to put structure into the ends. I know I get crucified for sectioning the hair like this, but I've said it many times, and it's probably starting to sound like a broken down record, is sectioning can make your haircut very accurate, but if you fuss and you are like sort of over the top with your sectioning, it can actually make you inaccurate and inefficient, because sometimes it's best to take a larger section and cut it once than to be constantly another section. So if your scissors sharp and you can control the hair, that's how you know that the section is okay. If your scissor can't get through the section, or when you're cutting it, it's folding in half and you can see that it's not accurate, then you've taken like your section then for me is too big. So I've cut the length through my fingers. I'm now holding into Maylin's back with the comb, and we're done. They're the ends. Done our ends. There was nothing to cut in the sides. It didn't come into the back. When I dry the hair off, once it's dry, I'll do what I've done before. I'll get Maylin to turn her head to the side and I'll cut it across her chest, and then to the other side and cut across the chest. I'm not a fan of cutting it on the shoulders. The shoulder is an obstacle that can create like sort of holes, and it's a bit awkward there. So I'll do that. It might be literally a half a centimetre, and we can do that when it's dry, but we'll go straight into the layering in the back. Again, where the head rounds off, I put my 2 fingers there, and wherever it is, I adjust it. And it's going to be about there, so I've already sectioned it there. We're going to do a classic seamless layer. You've seen me do this dry, I'm going to do it wet. So seamless is basically when we cut the angle of the hair as far away from zero as we can to create a very soft fall. So if we were to cut at 90 degrees, it's going to leave it quite heavy. If we cut it solid, it's obviously the heaviest. And if we cut it all the way here in front, it will give you a minimal amount of layering, but it'll fall very, very soft. We're going to go somewhere in between. I'll give you guys right down the barrel view. Let me just scoot across here, get this out of the way so I don't get it caught. Just put it there. Okay, so Maylin's head is in a natural head position. I just get her to go slightly forward. We're talking just a little. That allows me to get the angle that I want. So you guys can see the section there I've created. And I'm going to make this as seamless as I can. I want the ends to fall out. So you'll see the ends fall out of my fingers. And I'm effectively cutting a straight line to the roof. So I'm cutting straight. Yeah? This particular layering, we're going to bring everything back into the middle. it's not uniform, it's a stationary guideline. And we do one side at a time. So again, sometimes the length can get caught on your fingers, so you just get the length out of the way first, straight up to the roof. Last section on the side, we bring that into the middle. Make sure you're using the same end of your comb for every section. That's not right. I can tell it's not right because I couldn't see my guideline, which means I'll either come too far over the centre parting or I'm off my guide. So you go back and start again. You really want to see that dark, yep, it should be really strong. Maylin's left side is done. Now we work into the right side. He's there. And lucky last. The beautiful thing about these haircuts, and what I'm trying to do, there's often times people are like, why does that take you an hour and 10 minutes? Well, it's because I'm talking through it. We stop. We have to move the camera. We've got to, do certain things to make it the best viewing experience for you guys. But this haircut in the salon would take me 25 minutes. And I think this one's probably going to take the same amount of time. The part that is the hardest is framing up the face. It's a very, I guess in theory, simple technique to execute. Simple technique to comprehend, but the execution is actually very difficult. It takes a lot of practice. I've seen a lot of our hairdressers give long hair clients page boy shaping around their face because they don't over direct it enough. Don't drop it when you get to here on the last section. You actually want to allow it to almost fall over her head like this. So there's our last section. We want it to fall over like this. And then we're just going to point cut there, making sure that we don't disturb the line of the haircut. We just want to go on the interior and break that up a bit. And I like to let it come over the head because it's just easier for me to come in sideways and try and get it on the top like that because we've cut such an acute angle. Spin around, have a look at that. That's the back done. And now we're going to incorporate the sides. The back's done, now we move into the sides. I've turned Maylin to the side just so you can see what's happening here. We're going to take a section, spin it back around this way, another section, we take that into the back to the centre, this comes back to the back, let it fall naturally, and then we're going to repeat what we did when we just did the back. However, this is going to have a little modification to it. So what we want to do now is called shifted distribution. So instead of it being completely above her head, because for those of you who are experienced, if I cut that there, it's going to create a dirty, big weight line. So shifted distribution is when we shift the hair away from the head. So we're going to go this way. Yeah. And we just want to join that into the shape there. Next section comes in. Shift it towards the center again. Project it towards the center and shift it away from the head. There it is there. Other side. The other thing about timing is sometimes if we rush, not only can it affect the result of the haircut, but it can actually affect the client's experience. Like, combs can actually hurt the head when we're, frantically trying to hurry. I think you can make a less pleasant experience for the client. And they're not just coming for the haircut, guys, they're actually coming to potentially chill out, get away from, you know, work or that. You know, for a lot of my clients, they say their haircut is their time out. And the way they describe it to me, it's like when I go and have a massage. So it's actually their time to chill out. They don't want to rush. So I know we have time constraints and we have to cut hair in a financially efficient amount of time. But maybe if we took our time, created a nicer experience, we might be able to charge a little bit more, and therefore you don't have to do as many haircuts every day. Might be food for thought. Last section, and we'll be ready to flat brush this, personalise and texturise dry where necessary, and go straight into styling. Just bring a triangle into the back to cross check. You can see that. This is how I make sure we have balance. It's perfect. As perfect as anything can be in life, I guess. It's perfect. Let me just spin this around so you guys can see from a different angle, just while I'm texturizing this. Actually, shift it back this way and have a look. It's minimal, but minimal is something. Especially when I'm just bragging about it potentially being the perfect long laid haircut. The rest of the personalising we'll do when it's dry. Spin Maylin around, put your head back, darling, just look up to the ceiling and give this a little bit of a blast off your face. Okay, now we're going to flat brush it. So flat brush the hair, and I think it's safe to say you could probably leave the house like this and impress 99% of the people you walk past, and we've done nothing but flat brush it. I say it all the time, and it's why I use geometry. Math doesn't lie. Yes, it's a bit raw. We are going to refine it, especially in the back, and that's got to do a lot with the texture of Maylin's hair. It can be smoothed out a lot, but the point I'm trying to make is if we just pull this off her face, it doesn't require any texture. We've opened the face up, cheekbone, the length is all still there, the layering comes from here. So when we wear it straight, you don't have the commitment and the chunkiness of classic layers, because you can just wear this down like that and it appears that it's all one length inside with just bangs. And then when we wear it curly, you're able to get movement because we're curling and putting movement on the hair inside if you're going to use a tong or an iron. So what I'm going to do is we're going to personalise now with a bit of texture. First thing we'll do is check the front. Just I like to stand to the side and look down on the hair when I check the framing. Just sort of look to make sure we haven't missed any. There's probably a little bit there, not too much. You want to really look down on it and let it go, and you can see that shape falling in there. Same on the other side. Let me just get you to tilt your head this way, gorgeous. This side, we will need to put some texture in because as I've said in previous videos, we've got this much on here and a lot on this side. We need to make sure that we balance the weight and the texture out. Again, like there's just tiny little hairs, you're talking like maybe 1/4 centimetre just poking through there, which is pretty like normal. Especially when you're cutting it wet, to miss those little hairs, hence why it's important that we cross-check. Just head this way again for me, gorgeous, thank you. Perfect. Our last section on this side incorporated into the front. Then we're going to put some texture, then we're going to work on personalising the back. Again, I like to look down on from the top. Just making sure that we get that right. Now we're going to do some texture. We're going to do the texture using vertical sections and making sure that it's underneath, not on top. This is just where like the bangs are going to fall in the front of the face. Again, when we're texturising the hair, I'll twist it to the side just so you can see. It's really important that we don't go like this across the hair. You just want to go into the section without disturbing the cutting line because the cutting lines are there. Really important. It's gorgeous. Close your eyes for this bit, darling, sorry. I'll be dropping hair down onto your face. Should have mentioned that before I started. You can see, you guys can see now, the texture is already here because of the projection that I chose when I cut it. Where I'm smoothing it is actually through there. So we want to make sure that that's not chunky, that that's actually a soft, smooth transition. And we do that by texturising through the top. Just check this side, I think it'll be good. I chose to change sides because it goes from short to long in the front and it was hard to sort of angle it back, and I was texturising it long to short. So you can see there it goes short to long, and we're just texturising it there. Be careful on the shallow side, not over texturise because you don't have as much hair there, you'll put a hole in it. Now at the beginning of the video I asked Maylin where she parted her hair. She said sometimes she does it in the middle, and this is how you adapt this particular haircut. Although I did cut her hair with that natural parting on the side, I'm going to show you a little sneaky trick you can do just to make sure that if she parts it in the middle, it doesn't look like you've missed hair. Because if you cut the hair with a set part and then the part's not there, it can actually look like you've made a mistake. I just saw a little bit on this side hanging down, so I just want to check it before I do that. Yeah, it's there. It's not much, it's just literally that little bit there. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it makes a big difference, especially in 8 weeks' time. A millimetre in 8 weeks' time could be a centimetre or so, and it will be way out of balance. So all we want to do is over the top of the part, and I think I've done this in previous videos too, in different length hair, we're just going to take a really deep but very narrow triangle. So you can see there, that's where the hair parts naturally. We're going to almost come from the crown, and we're going to take the tiniest, like it might actually be lucky to be a centimetre. It's a little bit far. Here, this. Then we're just going to cut this like we're doing a curtain bang. So the way we do that is we're going to cut parallel to our parting. make sure the short hair is behind the long hair, because the short hair directs the long hair. So short hair's got to be here, so when it comes down it pushes and opens the face up. We're going to use the existing length, we don't make it any shorter. Take that off, don't drop it. It's easier than dropping it and then picking up to texturize. And all that's going to do is diffuse the middle. So when we go now and part Maylin's hair in the middle, here, you're going to find that now she's going to be able to have balance on her face, on both sides. Because that little piece of shortness we put in is now balanced out on this side and on that side. Spin around, texture to the back. The way I do this is, again, doing horizontal sections. So I'm going to take one big section. You can see that the front I've left out, makes it easy for me. And take that whole piece out. As I've said in previous videos, again, we're going to project it at 90 degrees. If we do it here, we'll make it chunky. And then we're going to add some texture because we want this to flow and move. We don't want it to fall heavy on the ends. This is all about keeping it light so it moves around. You don't want it to feel like fall really heavy at the back, especially when we put all that texture in around the face. And you always make sure you leave a veil out on top. You don't do horizontal texturizing on the top, because you'll see all those little chatter marks that you put in there, and we want this to be seamless. So that's broken up the ends a little bit for us, so it moves. That's good. And then we'll go back to our original section where we're going to texture the top. And then we're ready to do our styling. There's a lot of hair here. Missed a bit. This is why we go back and check. Look at that. Perfection. Not even close. Ciaccia. Guess the older we get, the difference between making mistakes when you're a young hairstylist versus an old one is when you're older, you just you know how to fix things better, I think. So we still all make mistakes. Do you remember that triangle section that I did at the very end? I hope so, because it's very important. So we're going to go and take that back again. Remember, it went to there, and then it went to here. And this is something that I learnt off a very dear friend, Dario. So shout out to Dario. I use this a lot, mate, and I've actually learnt that by doing this in different sectioning, we can actually create different effect. But the idea of this is to create a shaded veil that hangs down over our haircut. I see colorists using zigzag sections to blend colour all the time, and we can also do it as cutters. So what we're going to do is, over this triangle section, we're just going to zigzag. You don't have to worry about it being too neat. Just spin it this way, just put your head to the side, darling. You can see zigzag, it's not that great. I'll make it a bit better. So zigzag, up over the top. can see that. And we're going to zigzag on this side, up over the top. We end up spinning around and around. That side's much better. Have a look at that. And we're just going to do the same on this side, zigzag. Be careful how hard you dig your comb in. I did get in really hard.
No.
Sorry, I'm trying to be gentle. You have to apply some pressure because otherwise you actually don't get the hair. So we twist around. I just find it easy to hold once you twist the chair like that. And this we're actually going to texturize a lot. We need to make sure we texturize it back here. So spin around this way. This has to have a lot of texture and you need to take time. This is actually, I would say, the money shot. So this is actually what diffuses the entire haircut. And we just have to be really patient. And again, make sure that it's accurate. If the hair falls out, it's too short, don't worry about it. So you can see I'm just working with a 2 centimetre section at a time, and when I'm happy with how much light I can see through there, I'll still project it the same, but I'm moving down a little bit. So now I'm in the middle third. Now the final third. If I've done that right, that or just, you can either haven't touched it, you can see it's just diffused it all. Look at that. No lines. Beautiful. You got height, you got shape, movement. We don't want to wear it smooth because we want to wear it iron straight one day. All you've got to do is iron it straight. And all those little pieces that are sticking up from the texture will be smooth, but you don't have any chunky, classic layered look. Spin you around, let's pull it all off your face, and we're going to get that iron and we're going to do some beautiful styling. But again, guys, I haven't blow dried this at all. I've just used the paddle brush to smooth it. We call it wrap drying, and it sits absolutely perfectly. So we can just do this off your face. Actually, you haven't touched it yet. You can put your hands there. I'm just going to do this. You push it off your face into position like you normally would. Tell me what you think.
Oh my gosh, it feels so smooth. And it falls so like...
Well, it feels
Naturally.
smooth. Yeah, it does.
It just...
So pull it forward onto your face for me, like from here. Look at the frame, that's beautiful. It feels soft because we've been using really great products. Like the Matrix products are amazing, and we use the Bi-Large Hydrosaur spray, which is always going to make your hair feel nice and supple. But haircut's beautiful. Let's do some styling, huh?
Yes.
But that's how you wear it every day.
Yeah.
We want people to, we don't want anyone to say, you've just come from the hair salon. It's all about authenticity, and it has to be believable. Look at that shape through the side. When she wears it on the side, look at that. It's going to sit there. Exactly what we want. We want it to, even if she tucks it a little, opens the cheekbone up. Let's do some styling. We'll start on this side. This is a really simple salon look. I think it's fair to say that we're in a sort of fashion period where everything's about wash and wear. People don't want anything to look staged or contrived or over the top. We especially don't want it to look like she's going to a formal or her prom. So I'm just going to take quite a generous section. I'll spin around this way so you can see a little bit better. Pull the section out, 3 fingers, straight in. Actually 2 fingers for this one. Next one will be 3, 2, put that there. Make sure there's no knots or jags in it. You have to project it at 90 degrees. And we're just going to do a wave, so we're just going to use half turn. Now, one thing to note is this hair hasn't been blow dried, and I would not recommend blow drying hair with a brush and then using a thermal styling tool. So we're just going to go vertically, all the way to the ends. Just going to put a nice wave in it. It's really super bouncy, which is great. Going to turn the first sections all the way into the middle. That's a nice kink, isn't it? It's cute. I love it when you do things without even meaning it. There is steam coming off. The hair isn't wet, but there is steam coming off the hair because we didn't blow dry it with the brush first, and I think that's a good thing. It means that we've left moisture in the hair, so we're not completely dehydrating it. And you can see what it allows you to do is because we've left moisture in the hair, we can actually go back without worrying about damage to the hair. And if it's not wavy enough, we can actually go back and make it wavier. See? Next section. So again, this is about working at salon pace. So we have to be fast. Make sure there's no knots in there. Give it a nice comb through every section. This time we're going to use 3, sorry. So that creates 4 sections, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Combing it into a vertical section again. The reason why we're using vertical sections is when you style hair using horizontal sections, you create volume. We want this to be quite sleek and sit close to the head. Beautiful. Look at that wave. Now, I don't suggest using an electrical device in hair when it's wet, but this hair is not wet. It's actually just still got moisture in, but to touch, it's completely dry. So you don't have to worry about affecting the hair. If you iron hair when it's wet, you'll actually boil it, you'll sizzle it, because the water is actually going to boil, and I don't think that's such a good thing for someone's hair. And you actually, if you put the iron over it and you can hear it sizzling, it's too wet, or the iron's too hot, or maybe even both. Just have to come around this side, Bill. Let's come around this side. Thank you. Everyone say hi to Bill.
Hi.
Belle's been helping me all week. Thanks, Belle.
You're welcome.
Champion, she's my wing woman. Belle is one of our premier stylists at Access in Canberra. You've probably seen her in maybe some of the other videos I've done, maybe the one on the mountain. She was the lead videographer for the one at Gibraltar Falls in the Billabong. Pretty crazy day that was. We ended up having like...
An audience?
Yeah, we had like tourists sitting around watching us, which is pretty funny. I said to them on the way out, I bet you didn't expect to see someone cutting hair in the bush in Australia. And they were German. She's like, oh no, I didn't. I was like, did you enjoy it? She goes, yes, it was amazing. I said, can you tag me on Instagram? She goes, sure. And she tagged me. She must have taken 1,000 photos. I translated what she said in German on her Instagram. It said, the things you see in Australia. It's pretty funny. Okay, back this way. Just so you can see the sectioning. So we turn this way, we're going to take a section straight through here. And now we're going to just create this side. For this section, we're actually going to do it off the face. No, sorry, this one will be on the face, and then the next one will be off the face. So we go in this way, and on the face. Another way. Do the same again. I like to do each side symmetrically because it allows me, even while I'm styling, to achieve the right balance. Thank you. Back around. This is where we check balance. Make sure we're good here. We're going to take a second last section. I leave out I guess you could say, another triangle, and you guys often hear me talk about rectangles and triangles, and there is a mathematical reason for that. It's because it is important that we work in sectioning patterns that can be replicated, and for me, triangles are the best way to control distribution, whether you're styling or cutting, triangle sections, and rectangles are the best way to build foundations, which is why when I'm layering or cutting baselines or foundations, that I always talk about rectangles. This is something I often do. Hold the hair here because I want it to bend at the cheek. Go the iron width below, hold it back up. Don't need to go here, we're just going to turn it there. And we should have a really nice bend to complement the shape of the haircut. Right there. See, that's turning out, and then the next level will be here for the cheekbone. The next section, I should say. Boom. Beautiful. Too soft. I think that's because that's quite a big section of hair. Let's go over it again. Again, the beauty of not blow drying the hair before you do this is there is moisture in the hair, so that the hydrogen bond can be changed if or the hair can be restyled, because the hydrogen bond can be changed because you haven't completely dehydrated the hair by blow drying it and then going back through and using an iron. It's also, I mean, it makes sense that that would be really, really bad for the hair. So if you're going to do thermal styling, make sure you leave some moisture in the hair before you do it. Don't blow dry the hair straight with a brush and a blow dryer and then go back through and iron the hair. Last section, I need my paddle brush, because what I like to do is brush the hair back into its natural fall. So we go back off the face like this, and then we let that fall forward. And then we'll style it in that position, which will be there, maybe a little bit further that way. That looks great. Again, I want it to be on the cheekbone, so I'll hold my fingers there and I bend it there on the cheekbone. Beautiful. Other side. Perfect. We're done. Styling's done. All we're going to do now is I've used the smooth setter, and I've said it in a couple of other videos. A lot of people use it to blow dry hair straight, and it's amazing for that. I actually use it like a finishing cream. So I like to run my hands through the hair with some smooth setter in it, and what it does for me is it just brings back in those flyaways that we may have created. Again, this styling might not be everyone's cup of tea. It is very basic, but again, this is all about making it believable and authentic. Yes, I could have got a cylindrical wand. I could have done Hollywood waves and made it all perfect and crinkled, but we want to have an undone wavy look. So I'm actually going to now grab the brush and I want to brush it out a little bit. We're going to use the Matrix Styling Height Riser because that's a really great product to add volume. So I rub it onto my hands, I use my brush, I put my hand through, and then my brush goes afterwards, underneath as well, on top, underneath. I've got some on my other hand, so I swap hands through this side, underneath. We'll spin around. If you could put your head up for me, babe. Beautiful. We're going to go straight back off the face. Nice. Come back around this way. Let's use our hands now, because our hands are the most underutilized styling tool we have. And hands, we can mold the hair on this side, we can mold the hair on that side. Height riser, I love this stuff. This is like teasing in a pot. Like you can use this instead of back combing. So we're going to use it in 3 places. First is on the side. So what I like to do is style this with my hands how I want it to sit, and then I just use a little bit of the height riser and I just work it through there. It gives us some hold and some grip. I'll do that on the other side as well. Through the top, and just roughly put it in. You can put some in the ends. Again, it'll give it some texture. We're going to give it a really good shake. Just at any residual, it's quite good. Even though it's white, you don't have to worry about it making the hair look powdery. And now you can see that it brings it into that beautiful. Let me just get that out of the way. So on this side it opens up here, you can mold that, it'll open up there, it should. Do it again, just loosen that. Sometimes you just have to let it fall by itself, there you go. There, spin around so you can see what's done in the back. You get that beautiful, fun airiness there, and let's pull all this out. And that's our little beachy styling. If you want it to be more dressed, you can if you want. Go back and grab your paddle brush and you can rebrush this all in so you can make it smooth, and you can go back to that original sort of wavy shape if you want. You can see it just opens up there in front of the cheeks and the lips, which is beautiful, and you can brush it. I like, as I've already said, I want it to be believable. I don't want it to look formal. I don't want it to look formal in any way. So I'm going to allow it to fall as it would. And now we'll take off the cape. What do you think?
It's amazing.
So that's
I
like,
love it.
I think that's like very editorial feel.
Yeah.
But I actually liked it before we did the styling as well.
Yeah.
And as I said to you, I think that's how I would wear it. But you can see that you can wear it straight like we did.
Yeah.
No effort, literally no effort. This, flat brush, dry it, gone.
Yeah.
If you're going out somewhere, whether it be formal or informal, you can do different types of styling, barrel ways, and really have some fun with it.
Yeah, no, that's what I love because I don't style my hair that much, so if I can just have it cut so beautifully that it just falls out naturally like that, then I'm really, really happy with it.
I'm really happy too. Why don't you get your hands in it? Play with it a little bit. Let's have a look.
And it still feels nice, even after all the products in there.
All the products are beautiful. The only thing that'll feel gritty is the height riser, but it's designed to do that. It's designed to actually give you like grip in there, so you can get volume and body without using hairspray. Because if it goes flat and then you want to give it some height, you can. If you had hairspray, you couldn't touch your hair like this.
No.
Just pull it forward for me. Just want to see where it sits when it's curly. Oh, it's beautiful. See where we've laid it. It just opens up eyes and cheekbones, mouth and jaw. And this is, like I said to you before, it's personal. You could have gone and lopped it to there. You still looked amazing, and you could have gone to there. Once we get to about here, that's when things really start to change, because it changes the way the geometry of your face is. Let's spin you around so everyone can see the back. You can just give it a shake for me as well. Just run your hands through it so people can see it in the back. Just want it to sit naturally. It's good, run your hands through the top of it as well. Do you feel that height riser? It does give you a little bit of grip.
Yeah, it does. But it's not sticky or anything, so it's really
That should be grippy.
nice.
Should give you some grip.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for trusting me. I mean, I only met you today, so
Yeah,
it's a big deal. Let me grab it. Got it.
Yeah, well, you did an amazing job. I'm super, super happy with
Thanks.
it. I've never been this happy with my hair. So there you go.
That's a double thumbs up. Thanks for tuning in again, guys. I really appreciate your support as always. Can you do me a favour and go and follow me on Instagram? So I got like, not you. Do you follow me on Instagram?
I don't, because I don't have Instagram.
God.
I have to get Instagram.
You
And
don't
then
have
I'll follow you.
How old
You'll
are
be
you?
my first follow.
How
19.
Wow.
I know.
You must be in the 0.5% of people who don't have Instagram.
Actually,
It must feel actually really liberating. But I'd miss everyone if I didn't have Instagram, because so many people give me love on Instagram. I was going to say go and follow Maylin on Instagram, she doesn't have it. So you can't.
I'll make one and I'll follow you.
But if you can follow me, I'd really appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe to the channel, because it shows support. Share this video with someone you think may like it, whether it's for entertainment purposes or education purposes. Maylin, thank you. You look beautiful. You look beautiful when you came, but I think it's fair to say that we really brought that geometry of the face out. It is very beautiful. Thanks for trusting me, because we did only meet today.
Yes, well, thank you. Amazing job. I'm so
And,
happy with it.
Please leave a comment in the bottom. If you want Maylin to come back another haircut, maybe we can get it to a short one.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, I trust you.
Good. Trust is a big thing, so thank you. Until next time, guys, take care, and thanks for tuning in. Bye.
See ya.
Matrix!